Welcome to my Accent is No Accident podcast. I'm your host, 𝗷𝗰𝗀𝗀𝗻𝗀, and we are here today with a very, very special person, Milana, who will talk us today about her journey as a marketing coach and creator of the coaching Genie software. Let's get to know her better by me reading her bio. Milana Leshinsky is the author of 2 books, Coaching Millions and Simplicity Entrepreneurship, and the originator of TeleSummit. She is also the creator of Coaching Genie, a coaching platform that allows you to create and deliver your coaching programs online. She's passionate about helping coaches, authors, and speakers leverage their expertise and overcoming fear of technology. Milana came to the US as a music teacher from Ukraine almost 30 years ago. When she's not working on her business, Milana writes music and enjoys Latin ballroom dancing. And she's really good. To learn more about her, visit coachinggenie.com. Welcome, Milana. It is an honor and a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you, 𝗷𝗰𝗀𝗀𝗻𝗀. It's nice to be here. And this is the first podcast where nobody has to apologize for their accent.
I know, right? Because we are here to celebrate our accents and our differences. So, and speaking of accents, let me start with our signature question. Milana, what is your accent and why is not an accident?
My accent is from Ukraine because I came to the United States 32 years ago. I should really update my bio. It's over 30 years now. And I came when it was still, when it just stopped being Soviet Union and started being Ukraine. So
Okay.
sometimes I'll say I came from the Union. And, if we say that in Russian language, we'll say from the Union. And so that's where my accent is from. And it's definitely not an accident. I was worried about having an accent when I started my business, but it very quickly became an advantage. And we can talk about that today.
That is awesome. So when you came here, tell me a little bit. You came as a teacher, as a music teacher. Were you teaching in elementary school or were you teaching in university?
No, the way that the music education system was in the Soviet Union and in Ukraine and in Russia today is a little different than it is in America. Parents put their children into music schools, which are after school activities. So I would go every day as a child to a music school where I would take piano lessons, choir, theory, solfeggio, and history. And on different days, there would be like, it's almost like a second school after your primary school. Some kids would go figure skating, some kids would go to gymnastics or soccer. I went to the music school. So it was a special music school, like a specialty school. I don't think I could ever teach music in a public school because our music classes in public school, they were a crazy house. That poor teacher, I would never want to be her. She got thrown stuff at, she was spit on, she was disrespected. People did not respect music in a public school. But once you stepped into the special music school, there was a completely different attitude towards music education because people paid to be there. And my parents paid for that. And so that's the kind of school that I was teaching in. But I only taught for a little bit because I finished my music college when I was 18, because we can start at 15, so 4-year college. And then at 19, we immigrated. So I only taught for 1 year while in my last year of college. So that was my music teaching experience. But when I came to the States, I was giving piano lessons at $6 per lesson.
Oh, that's so cute.
without having good English, it was very difficult to find American students. So I was teaching Russian kids to start with. And then slowly started learning English and charging a little more. And my last student was an adult woman who paid $22 for a lesson. I will remember that because at one point I said, you know what, I'm done teaching piano. I'm
Oh, that is amazing. So you taught piano and you were actually an early entrepreneur because you were so young.
Yes, yes. And I was really happy that I could make money teaching classes, teaching piano lessons. But my passion was not piano lessons. I loved teaching groups. When we
Okay.
talk about what I do today, you'll see the connection, but I really wanted to teach groups of kids. I wanted to teach a curriculum to a classroom of kids, and that's what I loved. And the one-on-one lessons were not for me. Yeah.
Yes, I love that because that teaches us that sometimes in the majority of the immigrants, we come with something, in our backpack, but then you have to
Yes.
make something big from it or totally walk away from that.
Well, my uncle, who already lived in America by then since 1979, so he came 13 years before we did. And we were in touch with him throughout the years. And he would always tell my dad, nobody needs musicians in America. That phrase was constantly in my ear. And my parents were really worried, like, how am I going to live here with this profession? What am I going to do for money, for career, to take care of my family? And I was really worried, but I also knew that I was very hardworking. I was very determined. If anybody could make it work with music, I would be me. I would definitely do the music. But I know I have my piano. You can see it behind me, which a whole story of how it was donated to me. But I didn't continue with music. I tried, but due to no fault of mine, I shifted into business, computers, and eventually internet. And the reason for that is because of how the American music education system is structured. I went to college for music in America, but I honestly was at the level where I could teach the professor, the very different level.
Okay.
And so I was so bored in class that for the first time in my life, I was written up for discipline. And that was so weird because I was correcting the teacher and she wrote me up for interrupting the instructor. So I was just really bored in my class, and I realized that I can't learn this all over again. I can't do she wasn't even teaching the things that I learned in college. She was teaching things that I learned in fifth grade in my music school. So it was so different. And the
Yeah, it
kids
was.
really didn't know anything about theory and history and solfeggio. I just felt like this is not for me. And by then I was already a mom. I became a mom at 21. And after I, got out of my maternity leave and went back to school, I did not want to continue with music, and I changed my major to business.
Amazing. So you you took a leap of faith and moved towards business.
I just felt like that's where, I wanted to learn computers. It was 1994, 95
Okay, yeah.
by then. Computers were starting to be really big, personal computers. And I wanted to learn to
Internet was starting to be out. Yeah.
Yeah, so business administration, which I didn't know at the time. I thought I was going to be learning about business, but business administration has nothing to do with business. They were preparing secretaries. It's a glorified word for secretary. And so I learned how to type and how to use Microsoft Word and later the internet, how to be a secretary. That's like an administrative assistant. I was not interested in that either. And so my third major became computer information systems, and for a little while, I became what I called a computer programmer. Um,
But But it makes sense. I have heard many computer programmers to play piano. It might be something. It might be something that turns on in the brain.
I don't know, it's possible, but I wasn't a good one. I really wasn't. I was let go from my first, from my internship, my computer programming internship. And my boss said to me, I love you. I would trust you with my family, with my house, but you're not a programmer. And I went home crying, and I actually asked him, what do you think I would be good at? And he said, manager.
Ah,
So, you'd be good with people, not data kind of thing, right? But you know how Steve Jobs said you cannot connect the dots forward, you can only connect them backwards. Now
yeah.
looking back, I am connecting the dots that I did not become a very good computer programmer, but I do run a software company now. And I was able to get into it because I wasn't afraid of software. I understand the process of making software. I can communicate with programmers. And so it helped me get where I am today. So all those experiences absolutely count towards what I'm doing today.
Exactly. And also you moved at an early age, semi-early, like as a young adult, very young adult. So it kind of helped you because you have now lived probably more than half of
Oh,
your life
yes.
in US. So you are Americanized and merged the two cultures.
19 years in Ukraine, 32 years in America. Yes, for sure.
Yes, yes, so that you are Americanized. And how do you, let's talk about that a little. So, how did you take the change of cultures? Was it easy? Was something that was more curiosity and
Yeah.
exploration?
Well, first of all, I came because my parents came. So it's not like I decided to immigrate and I came. So I kind of tagged along. I married my boyfriend because I couldn't imagine leaving him behind. So my husband is also from Ukraine, and we came together,
Oh,
all of us. And so um, it was a big culture shock because we didn't come, like people who followed us later from Ukraine, they already had supermarkets, they had businesses. We didn't have that. We came from the Soviet Union, technically.
yeah.
1992, that was the transitional time between the Soviet Union and the Ukraine of today, right? It was a very transitional period. So it was such a big culture shock of coming from Soviet Union to the West.
Yes.
Very, very different. I mean, there's so many things that were different, and everything was different. I even, you're gonna laugh, Maritza. When we unpacked our suitcases in the first few weeks of unpacking, a fly came out. I thought it was a fly that I brought from Ukraine, which is funny right now. I was looking at that fly and thinking, wow, they have the same flies, either that or we brought it from Ukraine. It
Yes.
just felt like a completely different world. And I remember hearing children speaking under our window of our apartment building, and they were speaking English. And I would look out and I'm like, wow, they're so little and they speak English so well already. Those American kids.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, yes.
but what was helpful is sitcoms. I watched a lot of sitcoms.
Yes, yes,
And not only did I learn English faster that way, but I also learned the culture. Like I watched Friends.
yes.
I watched Family Matters. Just all those funny shows, ridiculous shows. But I learned about the culture and how things are from the shows. And I watched a lot of daytime shows like Oprah, but
Yeah,
others as well. And
yeah.
so yeah, I just watched a lot of TV because I had nothing else to do. I didn't speak English. I couldn't get a job yet. I couldn't even start college, so I watched a lot of TV, and that's how I learned English.
Yes, yes. I think you are forced. Like when I came here, also I came to Alabama, and I there was no Spanish around me, so you are forced to, and you have to force yourself to learn as well, and the accent stays there because it's part of who you are.
Well, that's
And
really interesting that you said that you weren't around Spanish-speaking people, because I find over the years, I meet other Ukrainian people and Russian people, and if they have a strong accent, stronger than mine, I'll start talking to them, and most likely they'll say that they never had to live in the English-speaking environment, and I did. We moved away very quickly. I
yes,
started going to school almost right away. I started volunteering. I started giving piano lessons very quickly. Within a year, I was already moving away from the Russian speaking environment. And that helped me learn English better and have less of an accent than other people who came at about the same age
yes,
you did.
that happened to me too. Just that
Yeah.
not many people in Spanish will be around us. My parents who didn't speak English, so we were in the house, we were speaking Spanish all the time. And that's
Mm.
well, actually getting rid of your accent is impossible because it's who you are. It's like
Well,
your
it's
root.
it's possible if you come young enough. I think it's possible. My friend came at 16 and I came at 19. I remember being shocked that she had no accent. Just 3 years later, we met each other again. She didn't have any accent. I was very surprised. Then, is your show R-rated or PG-13?
No, it's not.
I asked her, how is it that your English is so good? And she said, well, I sleep with Americans. Like I have an American boyfriend.
Okay.
But, well, that doesn't help me because I'm already
I'm
married.
married.
So I thought that's how intimate you have to get,
Yes,
English
yes.
speaker, to really overcome that. But you and I talked about this. At first, I really didn't like my accent. Every time I would raise my hand in class, all the kids would look at me and I would feel so self-conscious and so uncomfortable because I don't look any different. But the moment I would open my mouth, people would turn to me. And it was 1994. And so there were not a lot of immigrants at that time. There was not a lot of people from other countries. I was really a unicorn. And so I was
Yeah.
really very self-conscious. And when I started my business in 2001, I couldn't imagine doing what we called at that time teleseminars. Now they're called webinars. It used to be teleseminars. I couldn't imagine why somebody would get on the phone and listen to me with my accent. I felt like my credibility just wouldn't be there because I have an accent. Why would they listen to me, a girl with an accent?
Yes.
I was really self-conscious. And then I was a web designer at the time, and I designed a website for a gentleman who was a speaker. He was a very successful public speaker. Thousands of people would come to listen to him. And he had a very heavy Hispanic accent.
Yes.
And I remember thinking, wow, if he can do it and people come to listen to him, my accent is much lighter than his. How can I do this? Can I speak? Can I teach in English? And so meeting him has removed my fear and my shyness about my accent. And what I'm told now, and I'm sure you probably get the same thing, when you speak, people are more likely to pay attention to you because of your accent. Because
Yes.
everybody kind of speaks the same, and suddenly there is this unusual accent, like what? People
Ye-
wake up.
Yes, immediately people pay more attention because you are different.
You're
It is,
different.
yes, you're different. People go, what? Oh, wow. And some people immediately know where kind of like your accent is from. Some
Mhm.
people kind of like think they know. But you mentioned something. What brought you to open up your business? Hi, I'm very happy to know you are here watching our podcast today. It is an honor to be featuring so many entrepreneurs on the journeys of their inside voice. their accent that is not an accident. And we want to reach out more people like you who are creating a better world of diversity, inclusiveness, equity, and belonging. So please take a moment to hit the subscribe button below, like, and share to others. And even if you want to leave a comment, that'll be nice. Thank you for your support. And now back to the episode.
Yeah, so I started my business because I had two small children, and I wanted to stay home with my 1-year-old, and I was a web designer at the time. I really didn't have time to be with my kids and to be a mom. And by then I was 27 and I was ready to be a mom. Like I really wanted to be home. Every day I would wake up and saw my neighbor take out her blanket and lay it on the lawn, on the grass. And she would take her 3 kids, she would put them on that blanket, lay down and read a book and play toys with them. And I would take my kids, stuff them in the car, take them to school and kindergarten and daycare, and would go to work. And I remember thinking, I really wish I could stay home. I didn't want to leave. And finally, I said, I think I'm going to do it. I gave my 2-week notice and I left the job. My husband was studying in school at that time. He wanted to be a nurse because in Ukraine, he was a physical therapist. And so he thought he could do, something medical here, but he's not a very good student. And so we decided to give it a try. I didn't know anything about my abilities when it came to business, but I was really interested, and I'm still using that today. If I'm interested in something, there are more chances that I will succeed in it. Not because I have the skills or because the time is right, but because I'm interested in it. So I will push myself just a little harder. I will research it a little bit more. So I was interested, and the internet was very new at the time. And I got really excited about writing ebooks. And I sold my first ebook when my daughter was 1. And it was like, oh,
Wow.
I
And this is in the
created,
2000,
I
2000.
created something, and people gave
Yes.
me money for that. And I was hooked. I was bit by the internet bug. And so that gave me the confidence that if I can sell my ebook online, what else can I do? And so I quit my job and I went full time in 2002.
In 2002, and what was that ebook about?
The ebook was about web design. That's the only thing I could write about. I was a web designer. Web design was brand new in the world at that time. I
Yes.
wrote an ebook called Create Your First Business Website in 10 days.
Awesome.
And I just took people through the steps to create their own website. I'm a teacher. I still teach in every one of my programs and courses. I still teach. And I remember the customer's name, Andrew Smith. He paid me $29 for the ebook. Thank you, Andrew. I never forget you first.
That is beautiful. Yes, we love our first clients. My first client was I love her. I don't think I am able. I don't think I have permission to disclose her name. So
Well, and I remember that when I was considering doing my own business, I had a lot of fears and I had a lot of doubts and hesitations, and I did not see myself as a self-employed person. And at the time, I had a client, her name was Nancy, and I was creating her website. And she kept telling me, you should really do this on your own. Why do you need a job at the newspaper? You can do this on your own. And I said to her, oh, no, this is my 9 to 5. I have a $32,000 in salary and I have benefits. I can't do this. I can't quit this safety of the job. And she said, I will keep giving you projects for as long as I can, and maybe you can find a couple of other clients. And so I surrounded myself with people who were self-employed, and my mind started shifting because my parents were 9 to 5.
yes.
My mom called me every week asking me if I have food in the fridge. After I quit my job, she was worried about me. My
Yeah.
uncle said to me, everybody learns from their own mistakes, referring to the fact that I quit a perfectly nice job. But within 3 years, I tripled my salary. Like I was at six figures by the third year of business. That's actually when I hosted my very first telesummit.
And then how was that telesummit? Tell us a little bit, a brief story.
Yeah, well, for those people who don't know what a telesummit is, it's a virtual event. I created it before Zoom, before video platforms. So it was all on a conference line. We would literally like on the phone, and everybody would tune in and listen in, push some buttons for the code, and we would all listen in for the event.
Yes.
But I
Like a
attended.
conference call.
What's that?
Like a conference call in a
Exactly. Yes. I think it still exists, freeconference.com. Everybody would have an account, freeconference.com. I attended an event. It was a mastermind event where people came from the same space, like internet marketing, all the internet marketers, like 25 people, and we all masterminded. And I had so much fun. I wanted to create the same type of an event in the coaching space. So I came home and I said, I'm going to do a coaching think tank. It was called a think tank. The creator of that other think tank called me and said, Milana, don't call it think tank, because if you become successful and I become successful, people are going to just confuse us.
Yes.
And I remember sitting for like 2 days looking for another word to name it. And I came up with the word summit, because summit means the gathering of the heads of like the main people. And because it was on the phone, I said telesummit. And that's how the word telesummit came about. And now if you Google first telesummit, you'll find my name under it. I'm very proud that I was the very first one. But the reason I wanted to create it as a virtual event and open it up to the public was because I had 2 small kids and I couldn't travel to other events in my industry.
Yes, so being a speaker, traveling around
I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to leave my house. I wanted to do things from home. And apparently I wasn't alone, because in my very first telesummit, I had 150 people register. Now, the way I did a summit was not like they do them today. I charged for a ticket. Each person had to pay at least $97 to participate. And if they wanted more, they had to pay $497. Like if they wanted the transcripts and the little 4-week coaching program after the summit. So I had 150 people who signed up. That was my first 6-figure year.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
So knowing that you had that business like ideas in you and everything, that's what brought you to keep on going. And now you created the Coaching Genius software.
Yes. So for all these years, I've been teaching people how to grow their coaching business, how to create a life coaching business, how to build a business coaching business, any topic around coaching, and specifically how to grow your business online. And, I've delivered over 100 group coaching programs myself. And I never had a system to deliver my programs. I would always piecemeal out of different tools and software. And so 5 years ago, right before the pandemic, I said, I need to create a system for me and maybe for others. And so that's what became Coaching Genie, which is a system that automates and streamlines client onboarding, accountability, progress tracking, curriculum delivery, like all the things that you deliver to a client, it streamlines and automates it so that you can just show up and coach. That's what I wanted. So that's what Coaching Genie is. And Genie is like the magic lamp kind of genie. I should really have a magic lamp on my desk so I could show this kind of genie. Yeah, so, and I'm now in software business, I always did coaching, business coaching and group coaching programs. But this is the next evolution of Milana is I love building tools. And so Coaching Genie is the tool that became the culmination of everything I've ever done. I have taught classes. I've worked with groups. I have been a computer programmer, like all the things that Coaching Genie encapsulates all my knowledge and expertise from 3 decades of learning how to do different skills. It's now inside Coaching Genie.
It's very powerful. It's a very powerful tool.
It is. I love it.
It is a powerful tool that especially coaches today, they need help with their programs. And so let's tell our audience how they can find you.
I have 2 websites. One of them is my coaching website, which I rarely use, but it's there because that was my business first, milana.com. And there is actually a piece of music that I recorded. If you click on music, you can listen to it. I'm very proud of it because it's the only piece I've ever recorded in a studio. And then I also have coachinggenie.com where you can check out the software if you're teaching online, if you're wanting to deliver coaching programs and communicate with your clients easily and have a very simple, easy to use tool. Coaching Genie is that tool because I wanted something very simple. And Marita, you work with coaches as well. You know how complicated software can be.
Yes.
And how people can get overwhelmed with technology. So I didn't want software with thousands of features that you wouldn't use. I wanted just something that where you could just set up your program, give a client a link, and they're in. And now they have a client portal. That's what I wanted. So that's what it is. Very, very easy to use. So coachinggenie.com, and you can watch a little demo there if you feel like that might be a good tool for you.
Absolutely amazing. And that is the way they can contact you. And
Yes.
how else can you help people?
I run group coaching programs on how to set up your own coaching system. So if you've been delivering coaching online and you want to streamline it, and the problem I solve really is for when people feel maybe burnt out and drained by working with clients. And the reason they feel drained is because they don't have a very good, efficient process. And when you don't have a process and you feel drained with a few clients, you can't really grow. So I help you set up a coaching system so that you're ready to deliver the ultimate client experience to your coaching clients.
Amazing. Thank you, Milana, very much. This has been a wonderful interview with great insights on how to market yourself and how to pursue your dreams and how to keep on going. Is there any last thought that you would like to leave our audience with?
Yeah, I think a lot of things that you might be doing right now might feel a little irrelevant or maybe doesn't make sense to why you're doing that. But if you are drawn to it, please continue because you never know what it might turn into, right? I learned to listen to my intuition, to my gut feeling, like, this doesn't feel right, and then I don't do it. My favorite quote is, and I can't remember the author, I always forget, I really should look her up, is, when it feels right, do it. When it doesn't feel right, don't do it. When you don't know, wait until you know. And that's kind of been my motto. It saved me a lot of trouble and a lot of stress, for sure.
Great. I love that. Thank you so much, Milana, for your time today. And to you, our audience, thank you so much for being with us. And remember, you came to this world because of a source. A great force brought you here with love to be loved and love one another. Thank you. And until next time. Bye.
Thank you for having me, Maritza. Bye.
Bye. Hi, it's Maritza here. If you like this episode of My Accent is No Accident podcast and would like to listen more like this, subscribe wherever you're listening to it or watching it. Leave us a nice review and share with your friends, family, and network. Thanks for listening.